Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about what is known as habeas corpus. Now, first of all, what is that? And I have lots of other videos on different areas of habeas corpus, but in this particular video, I want to go into a couple different unique ways that one might be able to file a habeas corpus that previously might not have been done. Uh, However, considering the atmosphere that Trump has created, the fear, and the stepped up uh, ability, basically, of officers to try to deport whomever they can, the return of habeas corpus is necessary in order to prevent necessary overreaching by the government. So, first of all, what does habeas corpus mean? Well, that is when theoretically somebody is in custody and we are filing an action in federal court basically saying that it is unlawful detention and that they should be released. That's the bottom line. So let's just give an example. Let's just say that somebody is a U.S. citizen, except ICE comes to their door. And let's say that there's 5 people living in this guy's house, and let's say 4 of them show that they have no legal status. So instead of questioning all of them, basically ICE sweeps the house and puts everybody in detention. Well, in this particular case, clearly, because in my example, this particular guy is a U.S. citizen, they have no right to detain him. And because ICE is under the executive branch, it is unlawful executive detention, and therefore a habeas corpus would go forward in order to get this person released. So that, of course, is somewhat of an extreme example where habeas is, clearly the solution. However, again, because of the current situation of today, we have to be somewhat more creative sometimes in order to file the habeas to try to get things resolved and or moving forward. So one example would be, let's say someone files an adjustment to status and for whatever reason it's denied. So when it's denied, this person then has no work authorization and is essentially in the United States in limbo without anything that can be done. So, in this particular case, normally what the person would actually want is a notice to appear, which is the beginning of removal proceedings, so that the person can fight all kinds of other stuff in front of the immigration judge, can also apply for work permit authorization again in front of the immigration judge, and so forth. So, given that, because the adjustment was denied, the NTA was not issued, the person's in limbo without any authorization. So we can argue that the deprivation of work authorization is akin to unlawful custody, and therefore the habeas corpus should go forward. Now, the idea here is that, obviously the habeas corpus wins, that's great, but the idea is that once the government gets it, the immigration, they will see, well, wait, this person just wants to have the NTA issued, so let's just issue it, and then we can dismiss the habeas corpus. So that's one way, definitely, of using the habeas corpus. Um, Another way is, let's say that somebody who has been in detention is bonded out, but they have an ankle bracelet. Okay, and depending what they may or may not qualify for, it's a call that the attorney would make. But let's say that the habeas corpus is the best chance here. So what we would argue is that the ankle bracelet itself, and by wearing it, is what would be considered constructive custody, and therefore the habeas corpus should go forward in that particular situation. Now, the the basic idea here is that there are different ways of getting it in front of the federal judge, especially if, for example, deportation is imminent. Um, there's other situations, such as, let's say someone has for whatever reason, has a permanent bar, but is still in the United States, and let's say that something happened in their home country, or they have some way of showing that they now qualify for asylum, and they want to file a motion to reopen, and that either is not heard or it's rejected. You can file the habeas corpus, showing that by not allowing a meritorious motion to reopen to be heard is a violation of their due process, since the motion to reopen is a statutory motion, and that there's also what's known as the suspension clause. You'd argue that there's no legal right to not allow this person to file the habeas corpus. So these are just a few of the particular items that one can file a habeas that might not necessarily have been tried a year ago. But when the situation gets such that people are being picked up and they're being deported without due process, they're being lied to by ICE agents, it becomes necessary to step up the fight a little bit, so that it will dissuade especially ICE agents from exerting power that they don't legally have, and by doing what's necessary to protect the person who is constitutionally able to be protected here in the United States. So if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and more on the coming weeks.